Joining us now to discuss more is Distinguished University Professor at Touro College School of Law and Newsmax contributor Thane Rosenbaum. Professor Rosenbaum, good to see you. This may be the first, what they call Title VII employment discrimination case of the post-Roe v. Wade era, or at least the highest profile one. What do you make of it?
Tom, it's an interesting legal theory. I know you're a lawyer, so this will be of interest to you. Title VII of the Civil Rights Act also includes the Pregnancy Discrimination Act, which says that you can't discriminate against people, women, who are pregnant, that pregnancy can't be the source of discrimination in the workplace. So Dick's Sporting Goods, Disney, Starbucks, Paramount, Netflix, I think Sony as well, this benefit that would provide up to $4,000 for a woman to cross state lines to receive an abortion in states that do not outlaw the abortion, and that the companies will fully reimburse and subsidize that cost. The question then becomes, are those employers discriminating against women who ultimately have their children and are not receiving a corresponding equivalent paid maternity benefit? So essentially, they are being discriminated against because they're pregnant, because they're not receiving the same benefit that would go to a woman who chooses to abort her pregnancy. And so the EEOC has opened up a civil rights investigation based on that legal theory.
Yeah, and Thane, also just days after the Biden administration allowed access to abortion in certain emergency situations, Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton officially filed a lawsuit challenging this, saying it would force abortions in hospitals in the state. Do you think other states will follow this lead from Texas?
Katrina, this is enormously interesting. Everyone is aware that they don't know the name of the act, but it's called the Emergency Medical Treatment Act from 1986. And it says that emergency room attendants cannot deny an individual emergency care treatment in emergency rooms based on their lack of insurance, their insurance status, or their inability to pay. So we all know that, right? That you go to an emergency room you have an emergency. The question is, does that include abortions? Is an abortion an emergency procedure? That's what the HHS is now saying, that you can use federal law, this Emergency Medical Treatment Act, to preempt state law, which is the law that now would govern states that outlaw abortion, by essentially saying it's a medical emergency to have an abortion. But is access to an abortion an emergency? Maybe if it is threatening the life of the mother, the pregnancy is. But there are people that are now making the argument, yeah, but if that's true, doesn't the fetus also deserve emergency care, right? Isn't it to stabilize the life of the mother and the child? Right. So the question is, can you circumvent Dobbs by using the emergency room procedure? Texas says no, and their attorney general is challenging. I suspect you're right. Other states will challenge it as well.
We're just at the beginning of a lot of these legal challenges as the left tries to ensure abortion on demand. Yeah, we just talked about the breaking news, the House of Representatives passing a bill that would protect women from states that tried to prevent them from traveling across state lines. This bill's gotten a lot of attention because it smacks of scare tactics. Now, I don't know of any state law that is attempting to prevent women from traveling across state lines. Talk to us a little bit, Professor. Would such a law even be constitutional to try to restrict travel in that way?
No, absolutely not. And first of all, the interstate travel commerce clause of the Constitution it plays a role, as well as equal protection clause. People are allowed to travel from state to state. The question is, can you travel from state to state in order to outrun your state's abortion ban by going into another state? Well, you can always travel to another state and have a medical procedure performed there. I don't know what this piece of legislation is attempting, Tom, but last week, when the same attempt was made through a unanimous consent by Democrats, the attempt was also to immunize doctors in states that permit abortions, to immunize them against lawsuits from states that outlaw abortions. I don't know whether this law does that as well, but I think you're right. It's mostly there symbolic to send a message that look, remember, The House already knows that they don't have enough votes in the Senate to federalize Roe v. Wade.
Right,
That's what
sure.
this is really all about.
Yeah.
This is all about that they know that they're not going to be able, Democrats know they will not be able to make federalize Roe v. Wade by making abortions legal throughout the nation. But again, I'm not even sure that that would be legal anyway under state law,
exactly,
based on what the Supreme Court has already said.
And the Constitution, and it just seems to be scare tactics and window dressing. Professor Thane Rosenbaum, thank you so much for being with us, sir.
Anytime for both of you.
Thanks.